As we talked about on the WhatsApp group, there are a lot of reasons and a lot of ways to journal. For me, it's really important that I've got a journal that I love, that feel of. This has got a great feel to it. And I like books without lines because I tend to draw and make doodles while I'm writing. I always have lots of colored pens. Not mandatory, but it's what I like. But there is no right or wrong way to do it. And I just really want to emphasize that, because a block to so many people when you are journaling, a block that so many people have is, I don't know how to do this, and what if I do it wrong? And there's no fucking wrong way. Okay, just keep telling yourself that there is no wrong way. This is for your eyes only. No one's going to see it. No one's going to correct it. No one's going to give you a gold star or a demerit. It's just for you. And that's why I like blank pages, so I can just draw around things. But a lot of times when we're journaling and just letting things flow, that's when some of our juiciest ideas come up. So just, if I could just say a couple of things to remember: you don't need to edit ever. Allow things to just flow. Allow the quote unquote mistakes, because sometimes that's where some of the yummiest, juiciest stuff comes. We're going to be doing about 4 different exercises. I will put prompts up. So after I describe it, if you feel like, oh my God, what did you just say? We'll put a prompt up so you can remember. I think of journaling as, the way I've always thought of it, is externalizing an internal process. So if you're feeling churning, basically that's the kind of stuff I write is, I don't know what this is about. My stomach's churning. I feel uncomfortable. I have no idea. There's something I want to say. I don't know what it is. Really just write almost as fast as I'm talking, just so I can externalize that process. And that's where some of the most wonderful things come up. Why do we journal? To get clarity, to ask questions, to sort things out. Sometimes we write about a day just so we remember, because sometimes I'll write, I had such an awesome day today. I don't want to forget this. I always have my journal, either this one or another one, next to my bed, because I like to write about dreams. We get some great insights when we write about dreams. So if you do have a dream, write about it first thing, because I've read a few things about that even if we wait 10 minutes, it starts to disappear. You don't have to have pretty writing. You can write in the dark, whatever, but it's great to write and then go back and look at it and go, wow, I see the connection here. I write when I'm feeling sad, and I write, I'm feeling really sad and I don't necessarily know why, but I feel like I'm on the verge of tears, and I just will write about that experience. I write when I'm happy, to celebrate it, because I want to hold on to that feeling. I write to get anger out. I do that a lot, and I don't always write words for anger. Sometimes I just scratch across a page just to get that movement out, because so much of it is about externalizing that internal process. When I'm confused about decisions, I will just write and say, I'm confused. This thing is going on. I don't know what to do. And I'll take deep breaths and ask, what is going on? And who am I asking? I'm asking that higher self that's part of me. I don't know how many of you, I don't know your ages, but conversations with God, that was where he started. He just started writing about things, and then things popped into his head. So it was just himself writing back to himself. And we're all capable of that, no matter what your belief system is. We all have our own answers, but we usually stand in our own way. And of the different exercises, I'll give you a reason we're doing the exercise, and then I'll give you a prompt. I will keep track of the time. That's not your job, but I will be keeping track of time. And if you're not finished, make a note so you can go back to it, because we can't wait for everyone to finish. There's too many people. And so I will cut it off, and I will be keeping track of it. I'm going to say this time only, but I'm going to say it anyway, even though I cringe when I say it. If you read the book, if you enjoyed it, if you could give a review, I would so appreciate it. That's how the algorithm goes. I won't mention it again because it's embarrassing to even say, but it would be lovely if you have the opportunity and if you so desire. All right. The first thing we're going to do is a meditation to shift from this sort of external head focus into our bodies. So I will lead this meditation. It will take, 6 or 7 minutes. You guys can just relax and allow me to lead this, and then I'll take you into the first exercise. So if you could all just stretch your neck and your shoulders and lean back and get comfortable. We're going to start with 3 deep breaths. Breath in, hold it, and out slowly. And a second breath in and out. And finally in and out. We're just going to start with a relaxation. Sitting up straight, starting with your feet. Feeling your feet, focusing on your feet and feeling them relax. Maybe you feel a slight tingling as you're putting that energy and that focus on your feet and just allowing them to be. And moving up to your ankles and your shins and your calves. Moving up to your knees and your thighs and your hips, feeling your hips and your buttocks sitting on the chair and letting yourself feel heavy and supported as you relax. And now moving up to your base chakra, down by your groin, feeling the energy there and just hearing that you are connected to the energy of Mother Earth. Your body, mind, and spirit are grounded, centered, and purified. Taking a breath in and moving up to your solar plexus. That you focus here and know that you can love every aspect of yourself and delight in the creative weaving that is your life. Moving in to your solar plexus and realize that you are connected to the abundant flow of the universe and that you can easily manifest all of your dreams. We are all connected to that abundant flow. And moving up to our heart chakra, and know that your heart is open to receive the energy of love, that you radiate that essence and walk your path with ease and with grace. And moving up to your throat chakra, knowing that you are aligned with the highest truth, that you communicate with love and honor, and that you are indeed creative and harmonious, and that every day in every way you are creating your perfect life in harmony with others. Moving up to your third eye chakra, knowing that your mind is open to new vision and that you expand your awareness through your higher self. And to your crown chakra, connected to that divine source of the universe. And now any tension that's in your jaw or in your neck, just allow that to melt away, allowing that creativity to flow through you as we enter into this sacred space of journaling. Take 3 deep breaths. And open your eyes as we move into our first exercise. So if you would open up your journal and do whatever you want to do, whether you date it or whether you just start writing, whatever works for you. I'm going to time 5 minutes, And I would like you to briefly just stream of consciousness, write while you're here. You can write in full sentences, bullet points, flow, whatever it is. Just write without thinking too much. Write what pops into your head about why you are choosing to spend this 2 hours today in this workshop. So I will put the prompt up and sharing again. There we go. I got it. So here's the prompt that hopefully you guys can see. And I'm timing 5 minutes. Just write whatever you are here. And it may surprise you. It may be not what you were thinking of. And that's okay. Okay, 1 minute. So finish up your thoughts. Okay. Please turn the page. You can go back to that if you want to. It's just a way to be getting warmed up to start writing. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Please just keep reminding yourself of that. And we're going to go on to the next exercise. And if you have questions after that, we can get back to it. The next one should also be a really easy one. This is just free flow and something that I bet all of you have done. This is something that's a common one for journaling. I'm doing these more or less as warm-ups. So for the second exercise, I want to do a gratitude practice. Please don't roll your eyes. It's a good way to get into your heart space. We're going to take 10 minutes. And for that, the reason I'm giving 10 instead of 5 is so you can really go inside and touch that. This should not feel laborious. It should be just free flow, just flowing. And I've heard gratitude journaling described as small acts of creative alchemy. And I loved that. Small acts of creative alchemy. So just letting yourself flow with it. For this exercise, I'd like you to jot down 10 or more, if you're into it, memorable moments within the last week-ish that you've been grateful for. 10 moments, and if you want to write more, you can. This is a free flow exercise, so you can write about it. Why are you grateful? What was it that touched your heart or made you feel so excited? Perhaps you like things in line. Maybe you want a bullet point. Maybe you want to put numbers, or maybe you just like free flow. Whatever it is, that's absolutely fine. I'll put up the prompt. I'll start the timer, and okay, and share. Second prompt, and timer has started. Okay, 2 minutes left. So if you're in the middle of it, finish up for your, try and have all 10. No one's going to mark this. So if you don't have 10, it doesn't matter, but 2 minutes. Okay. Okay. So at this point, does anybody have any questions, comments, things that they just want to clarify, or anything before we go on to the next piece? Okay, one of the things I just really want you to remember is this is for you only. I'm not going to ask you to ever share. There's a couple later that I might say, did anything come up that you want to share about? But remember, that's one of the really important things for me when I'm journaling, is that I know this is mine. I can write whatever the hell I want to write in here, and it's for my eyes only. And so just, yeah, keeping that in mind. Everybody's ready to move on? Yeah? Cool. Okay. For the third exercise, this is expressive writing. It's about describing and getting more flowery. Sometimes with free flow, you don't want to think so much, but sometimes with expressive, we want to dig into that and mine those inner, more creative ideas. Expressive writing, when I was first reading about it and using it in workshops, comes from a wonderful book called Life's Companion. Journal Writing is a Spiritual Practice. The author's name is Christina Baldwin. It's an older book. It's been around for a while, but it's a great book. It's one of the references in my book. So if you have my book, you'll find it in the back. Life's Companion, Journal Writing is a Spiritual Practice. Expressive writing comes from one's most innermost thoughts and feelings. It's about writing completely free form. It's completely personal and emotional writing. It's important that you don't pay attention to any of our writing conventions, okay? And I know for some people that's really hard. I'm an English teacher. I get that. And when I see that I have gone off grammatically or misspelling, etc., at first, that was really hard for me, but I've learned to get by it, past it. But it's really important that you can let yourself not see those conventions and simply move forward with just completely free form, emotional writing. Write continuously. I will be keeping track of time, 10 minutes. Write continuously. Don't think about it. Don't worry if it makes sense. It's simply writing to express what's on your mind and in your heart. And if you don't know what to write, because this is something where you write continuously, because if once we stop, once we take pen from paper, our head kicks in and we start ruminating about things more. Whereas if we just keep writing, things come out. And that's where we want to get to, that place where we're deep inside that. So don't think about it. Don't worry if it makes sense. If you run out of things to write, just write. I don't know what to write. I feel uncomfortable. I feel awkward. I'm writing without knowing what I'm writing about. It doesn't make sense. I'm frustrated. Whatever it is, just keep writing. And and write about how that feels, that you feel like you don't have anything to write about, because that in and of itself creates emotions. Keep your pen on paper, keep going. I will keep track of this. And because I usually write in the morning, I do morning pages, which comes from Artist's Way. I don't know how many of you have heard of Artist's Way. It's a book from the 80s, and I think it's 80s, it might be early 90s. Julia Cameron, who, by the way, is sober. She didn't write that talking about her sobriety, but she has been for many years. And she just found a way to get past a lot of her blocks through journaling. So if you haven't read Artist's Way, God, I highly recommend it. You can get it now on any used book site. It's been around for a long time. And one of the things with morning journaling, morning pages, as Julia Cameron calls them, is that I don't know if I heard this from Julia Cameron or if I heard it from another journaling book. I love the idea that you live each day as though it's your first. Because so many of us have the little meme, live today like it's your last, and trying to embrace and hold on to everything. But I read it with that other turn, live each day, or at least today, as if it's your first, waking up with the sense of curiosity, wonder, and playfulness. So that's what we're going to be looking at now with this expressive writing. I'll put up the prompt, but I'll tell you here now. You're going to describe embracing today, and I know we're all on different time zones. Some of you are in your morning, some are in the middle of the day, some are toward the end of the day. Nonetheless, describing today as if it's your first day, describing how you will embrace today with a sense of wonder, a sense of curiosity, a sense of playfulness. What can you do today or tomorrow? If it's your end of your day, it's fine. Just thinking of it as a day. How will you embrace today with that sense of wonder, curiosity, playfulness? How to approach that. And that's always the best way. If you're around children, being able to actually, which is hard, it's really hard to do. It's easier now with grandkids, but with kids, we've got things to do. We've got laundry, we've got to clean the house, we've got to get a meal, we've got to get shopping, we've got to go to work, we've got to answer phone calls, all of those pieces. But if we can actually move into a place with a 2 or 3-year-old and stop and see the snail moving, and actually watch that snail with that sense of wonder. Stop when we see a butterfly, a leaf, the way that water ripples, whatever it is, with that sense of wonder that children do naturally, that most of us have lost. If we can embrace that, it rejuvenates. It really does. So you're going to be doing this expressive writing, to write continuously. Think about how you can embrace today, tomorrow, the next day with that sense of wonder, curiosity, playfulness. What is it that might spark that? And just write what bubbles up. I'll set the timer for 10 minutes now, and I will put up the prompt. So go ahead, go. I'll start the timer. I'll put up the prompt. Expressive writing. 1 minute. Okay. And for me, because I'm journaling with you guys, I was having a hard time placing myself in there too, because I'm wearing a facilitator hat. And what I did for that exercise when I was trying to get there is that next week I'm going to see my grandson. And so what I did is that I started writing about that longing that I want to have to be able to be there with him. Right now, he loves looking at bugs. That's why I thought of snails. And he loves looking at diggers, even though his parents are incredibly intellectual and they're really struggling with the fact that their son is loving looking at diggers. I'm hearing my son walk. My son's talking to us on the phone and he's walking and he's, okay, Theodore wants to look at this digger again. And he's really struggling with it. And so I was asking myself to be able, when I'm there, if we're on a walk, to be able to get into that and look at that digger and listen to the sound. And what is the sound? And what magic do I see as a digger is digging, instead of, oh my God, let's get out of here. This is loud and it's dirty. And come on, let's go read a book together, or whatever my mind is doing, how to bring myself down into that. And it's challenging. It's very challenging. And I have heard it so many times with sober women, newly sober women, even women that have had a year or more, that say, there's a lot of time now. You know, what do I do with all this time? And that we want to be embracing it more, right? I'm not going to just sit and read a book or just sit and look at a movie, or I need to embrace it. I need to use it. What brings on this anxiety of time? And yet, when we get to a certain age, we start thinking, time is limited. Time is just such an incredible aspect, or whatever the word is, an incredible thing, that I want to have more of it. And right now I have a lot of it, and I'm anxious having the contradictions feel a little bit crazy making. And I hear you. And to interview yourself is always a wonderful way. It's like what you're doing is you're accessing into that the self, that highest self, but also to ask those very specific questions. When was I really, truly happy? Try not to make it the most, because then we get stuck into, oh my God, I don't know, was this the most, or was this just, when was I very happy? Or exploring, when was I really bereft? When did I feel that deep grief? When did I feel that deep happiness? And exploring these, again, it's like that wonderful mining of self. No one knows us better than us. Gosh, if we could all feel that playfulness again, what a gift, what a gift. We often reach a certain age where no time for that playfulness. And boy, that's something that we should be all hoping to hold on to. Okay, and then what else am I feeling? And allowing that free flow. Once we get into a place of allowing free flow, all kinds of things open up. The biggest thing is we have to get out of our own way. And so often when I was doing workshops on any kind of creativity, that was always oh, I'm not creative. Oh, I don't write. Oh, I can't write for that long. Oh, I can't. Because we've created the blocks in our head instead of allowing free flow without judgment. We are so fucking good at judging, especially ourselves. And when we get into that judgment, that's when things stop. We come to a complete and utter halt. And it's so hard to allow ourselves to get to the place where things flow without judgment. And so I just really commend you. First of all, you're saying, I don't write, and I don't think I could write for 10 minutes. And then allowing yourself to move past it and allowing that wonder of, oh, wow, it's 1 minute. That means I've been writing for 9 minutes. Wow. So a block broken. And so that's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Anger is one of the easiest things for us to go to first, especially in early sobriety, because it's the tip of the iceberg, as they say. Once you get off of that tip and you go below the surface, there's a lot of other stuff. There's grief, there's sorrow, and sometimes it takes a while to get to authentic happiness. But by touching that anger and externalizing that internal process, we can allow it to go. Anger is not bad. It's not wrong. It's an emotion that we have. And much better to be letting it out, whatever it looks like, than pushing it down. And there's a lot of other things below that, so much more. There's often a lot of shame below anger and sorrow and grief. And only once we start allowing it instead of suppressing it, can we get there. And sometimes I know for myself, my anger can be very inappropriate. I will lash out at someone at whom does not deserve my anger. My anger is there about something else, and I will lash out because I've suppressed it. Whereas if I can write about it, journaling works for me. My good friend that I used to run workshops with, she paints anger out. And she's got a lot of paintings that she will never, ever sell. It is just because she has one where she painted it black with red and then got a knife and started slashing it. It was simply to be releasing that anger. Because if we don't, it will get us sick. It really will. Suppressed anger comes out sideways, in ways that we don't want to see. Angry. I got in trouble. Was not okay when I got angry. And so I learned to suppress it and let other smiles come out or other things that weren't authentic. So when I first got sober and I wasn't numbing out with the drugs and alcohol that I took, it was like, oh shit, this emotion that's in here, I'm not comfortable with this. I don't like this, but it has to come out, because if I'm pushing it down, it comes out sideways. I'm going to have a quick breathing exercise to bring us back into our heart and body space rather than our heads. So I'll describe it first. We'll do a quick breathing exercise, and then I'll put up the prompt. So the fourth exercise that we're doing is descriptive journaling. Really is something that a lot of people love, that feel like they want that creative juice. We're using a lot of adjectives and a lot of descriptive phrases. And so a lot of people that may not love writing necessarily, but love that creative play with words, this will be for you. And if not, play with it anyway. So descriptive journaling involves recording thoughts and experiences in a very detailed and vivid manner. We are going to focus on using sensory details and rich language to create a strong sense of place and time. So you're doing this for yourself to evoke a place and time for yourself. So remember when I was in the beginning of the workshop, when I was saying we write for different reasons. If we're writing in order to remember an event or remember a dream, descriptive writing is really important, because we're putting these evocative phrases in there to spark these memories. The technique helps not only document events, but explore emotions. If there's emotions coming up, it helps us explore what those are, and we can gain a deeper understanding of self. So if there's a lot of anger coming up, one of the ways to explore that is to start describing it, over the top describing it. It's like a hot knife slicing inside of me and opening me like I'm simply butter. I feel myself oozing out like I've been this butter left in the sun and I am simply running off the table and making sounds as I'm hitting the ground. So you've got this evocative sense of, ugh, and yet I can feel it when I describe it like that, instead of just saying, I'm feeling angry, which doesn't evoke that. So we're looking for this evocative language that is going to spark us. Key aspects of descriptive journaling. We focus on details to capture the specifics of an event or an experience. We pay attention to the sensory things, to the sights, to the sounds, to the smells, to how it feels, the texture, to the tastes. So if you went out for a meal and it wasn't just that the meal was wonderful, but the whole experience, what did it sound like in the restaurant or with your friends? What were some of the tastes? If you say melt in your mouth, that's nice, but what does that really mean? What did it mean to melt in your mouth? I could feel the taste in the back of my throat. It almost slid down like it was a slug. At first it was too much, but then just moved into that. I was worried about not drinking at this dinner party. Everyone else was going to be drinking. My anxiety was really strong. But instead, I put the sparkling water in my wine glass and I swirled it around and I saw the light catching on the bubbles and watched the bubbles come to the surface and pop. And when I drank this, it felt refreshing, like I was drinking something out of a fresh stream. And instead of dulling my senses like wine often did, especially after the third and fourth and fifth glass, I felt more and more awake and aware of the conversation and the light in the room. So you're looking to capture the moment, not to say, I had a great time at dinner tonight. So that when you're coming back, you're feeling all of that evocative energy. We're using adjectives, adverbs, figurative language like similes and metaphors. We want to bring the descriptions to life so that when you look back on that description of that dinner party, you are right back in that room, either back in that restaurant or back at that table. And maybe you're going to be writing about how interesting it was that the longer you were there and the more everyone else at the table was drinking, it reminded you of why you're not drinking. And listening to people and thinking, my God, these stories are getting old. And how interesting that I'm noticing that Sue over there gets louder and louder with each glass of wine that she has. I'm finding her voice piercing, almost like she's scratching at me. And I am just finding her behavior abhorrent, whereas before I found it humorous and even attractive. And now I see how I used to behave like that. And it's bringing up these feelings of shame and of discomfort. How interesting to see the effects of alcohol on others now that I'm not drinking. So things that we might be describing tonight or today or this morning, wherever you are. And again, remember, I'll put up the prompt. I'll do the timing. I just want you to have that in mind. We'll do a breathing exercise to bring us back into our body. Perhaps you're going to describe a view from a window that you love, or perhaps describing being in that field, as Lynn was describing with her happy memory. What does she remember about that field, about the tree that she sat under, about how the grass felt, about that feeling as she realized a lot of the food that she was excited to eat suddenly wasn't there, but then that warm, comforted feeling when her mother shared the food without telling her that she was wrong. Maybe you remember a time that someone cooked for you and that you didn't have to cook. So that mental load was taken from you and someone was in the kitchen doing the slicing and dicing and cooking, and you could smell it and just relax into it without feeling that anxiety of, oh my God, I've got to get this dinner ready. Maybe the sound of music when you're sharing an afternoon with a friend or even by yourself. Maybe you have a day to yourself and you can expand into that space. I will put on the prompt and I will add more to it. But first, let's just take a couple of minutes and do box breathing. Are you all familiar with box breathing? It's breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4, holding it 1, 2, 3, 4, letting it out 1, 2, 3, 4, pausing 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do 4 rounds of 4 count box breathing. It's a wonderful way to regulate yourself. If you're feeling anxious, box breathing is magic, and I highly recommend it. We're going to do that 4 times just to get back into our body before we go into the next exercise. I'm going to give you 10 minutes for it, so you don't have to worry about keeping track of the time. But starting now, close your eyes, feel yourself sitting in your chair, and take a deep breath in on 4, 2, 3. Hold it. Out. 2, 3, 4. Pause. Coming in 1, 2. Hold it. Letting it out. 2, 3, 4. Pause. 2, 3, 4. And in. 1, 2. And hold it. And out. 2, 3, 4. And pause. 2, 3, 4. And final. 1, 2, 4. And hold it. And out. 2, 3, 4. And pause. 2, 3. Okay. You can open your eyes. I'm going to bring up the 4th shared prompt, which is descriptive journaling, and I will share that now. Okay. Recording your thought or experience in a detailed and vivid manner. Remember to focus on details. You can describe something that's around you now, or describe your favorite place. You don't have to. This is just one prompt. Use whatever you want. So how about describing your favorite place or a place that has a strong memory for you? You can think about a place that you feel safe, perhaps sitting at the beach, in front of a fire, sitting with music playing, outside, whatever feels like a safe and evocative place for you. Remember, use details as much as possible. I'm setting the timer for 10 now. Okay, one more minute. We are now at our last exercise, although I am going to give homework because I'm a teacher, but I promise you don't have to do homework if you don't want to. But this last exercise is about self-love. And it's a hard one for us addicts and us female addicts in particular. We are often so incredibly self-critical as women, and especially as addicts, female addicts. Usually we are talking to ourselves with inner negative chatter like we would never, ever talk to a friend. I don't know how many of you have read anything by Annie Lamott, Lamott, Anne Lamott. She's wonderful. I highly recommend any book by Anne Lamott. She's also in recovery and she's written many books, but she often talks about that, trying to start to treat ourselves like we would a friend, starting with that inner chatter. For this exercise, I want you to write a letter to yourself, talking to yourself as you would a dear friend that you really care about. I want you to write this letter to express what you love about yourself, what you admire about yourself, what positive attributes in yourself. Name them, be descriptive, elaborate. Please don't put any buts or you could do this better. Please don't go there. Please stay in that place of really how you would express this incredible love for a friend of yours that you admire and that you care so deeply about. I'm going to put this prompt up. I'll give you 10 minutes and then we'll close and be able to talk a bit about this. If you have trouble with this, just keep thinking, okay, I'm not really talking about me. I'm talking about a friend, and whatever you got to do to get past that stuff. All right, go ahead. I'll put the timer on and I will share. Go. 1 minute. Okay. So that was our last exercise. So what I'll do right now, I'll put up the last prompt, which is a homework. If you choose to do it, you don't have to. And it's not an easy one, but you can take your time and do it. And that is journaling about forgiveness. And you can either do this as a description, or you can talk about a story that happened in the past and describe it in detail and forgive yourself. You can do it as a letter to self, or you can simply do it as a stream of consciousness like we did in the beginning of the workshop, that you can just write about it. Basically writing that you are a person worthy of forgiveness, that, again, writing to yourself or describing the situation that you are worthy of forgiveness, and that you, in that deepest sense, forgive yourself. It's not an easy one, especially as addicts, because we have a lot of shame that we're all sitting on. Something, even if you want to just write as an exploration, you don't even have to do the full exercise. You could just write and explore what that might be like to think about forgiving. So the most important thing is that last line, to be gentle and kind to yourself. So for people that have to leave, I realize that we have gone right to the bell.